Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What's up, guys? This video is going to be my final start-sit breakdown for Week 14. I've already done the running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks, which means it's time for me to go through every single tight end in every matchup this week. There are going to be timestamps down below if you want to jump around to your specific tight ends. Just if you're enjoying the content, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. But let's jump into the Thursday night matchup where we have the Steelers taking on the Vikings. For the Steelers, I think you can continue to fire up Pat Freiermuth into your lineup. He's seeing a pretty solid number of targets on a week-to-week basis. He's not a tight end who's going to have, those huge games in terms of yardage, but we know he's a red zone threat and someone who's going to sit as like a mid, to back-end tight end one rest of season. For the Vikings, I'm going to be sitting Tyler Conklin, but he's definitely very close to the fringe. I think I've listed 12 tight ends as starts. If there could be a 13th, it would definitely be Tyler Conklin. We'll see what his role looks like with Adam Thielen likely out this week, but if you have Tyler Conklin in your lineup, I would not feel super bad about it. Moving on to Sunday in the Cowboys-Washington football team game. For the Cowboys, I'm listing Dalton Schultz as a start, but I still think he's more of a back-end tight end one compared to early in the season with Michael Gallup out when he was more of like a mid-tier tight end one option. For Washington, it looks like good news for Logan Thomas. It seems like he did not tear his ACL, but he still has, a pretty serious knee issue. So I'd say it's very doubtful for him to play this week. We don't even know if Ricky Seals-Jones is going to be healthy. Either way, if he is healthy, I still think he is a sit or whoever is the tight end one there. In a very, very ugly tight end matchup between the Jaguars and the Titans, you're sitting both of these guys, James O'Shaughnessy and Anthony Firkser. Neither of them have any fantasy value this week. And then in another not-so-great matchup, we have the Seahawks taking on the Texans. And for Gerald Everett here on the Seahawks, it kind of looked like he was gearing up to, be a fantasy-relevant tight end. Few solid weeks in a row, when the offense was not looking good. Then they give him the opportunities. They get him the ball. One drive, he drops, an easy touchdown reception, actually knocks it up in the air, gets it intercepted. So they gave him the opportunities. He just did not come through. And so he's going to be a sit this week. And then for the Texans, Brevin Jordan, just not a lot of production out of that tight end position. In this next matchup, we have two top-tier tight ends, Raiders, Chiefs. Both Darren Waller and Travis Kelce are both locked in starts. Back to some ugly matchups in the Saints-Jets game. Juwan Johnson and Ryan Griffin, both sits, no interest in either player. In the divisional matchup between the Falcons and the Panthers, you're still going to be starting Kyle Pitts just because there's not a lot of top options. In terms of yardage, he's actually had a pretty solid season. He really is just struggling to get into the end zone. Kind of something we saw with Julio Jones throughout his entire career with the Falcons, but definitely not to this extent. I still think you fire him up as like a mid to back end tight end one play. For the Panthers, nothing going on here. Tommy Tremble is a sit. Then we have the Ravens taking on the Browns. Mark Andrews locked in high end tight end one every single week. For the Browns, Austin Hooper is probably kind of on that fringe, like a high end tight end two, but just not enough consistency for me to list him as a start. He's going to be a sit this week. Same thing for the two tight ends in the Giants-Chargers game. Both Evan Ingram and Jared Cook are going to be sits this week. Then we have the Lions taking on the Broncos. You got to continue to fire up TJ Hawkinson as a really solid mid-tier tight end one, even though that offense is not going to be good. For the Broncos, I think Noah Fant definitely has the skill, and the ability to be a solid, week-to-week fantasy tight end. He is just not in the right situation. You're on a team with three other really solid wide receivers, two other very capable running backs, and a quarterback who can't support any of them. So he is going to be a sit. In the 49ers-Bengals game, you lock in George Kittle as a high-end tight end one. The man is a monster. You just need to get him those opportunities. You can see what he did on Sunday. For the Bengals, CJ Uzomah, not much going on there. He is a sit. Then one of the better tight end matchups, Bills, Buccaneers. I still think you can trust Dawson Knox. I know he did not have a good game on Monday night. Really no one did in terms of receiving the ball, but I also think, he was involved in some weird plays. He had at least one, maybe two drops. Also kind of had a ball in the end zone where it's like, oh, he could have caught that, maybe not. That was just a very weird game. You've kind of just got to throw that one away. And I think, you can still rely on him as a mid to back end tight end one rest of season. And then for the Buccaneers, Rob Gronkowski, high end tight end one. The man continues to ball out. He's a red zone threat, but he's also seeing consistent volume on a week-to-week basis. Antonio Brown, we know, is out for this game, so that target share is going to continue to be condensed between Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, and Leonard Fournette. So a great play this week. Then on Sunday night, we have the Bears traveling to Lambeau to take on the Packers. I think Cole Kmet is a solid start if Allen Robinson does not play. If Robinson returns, then I'd really just be sitting every single pass catcher on this team, whether it was Kmet, Robinson, or Mooney. For the Packers, you continue to sit Josiah DeGuara, I believe is the name. And then the final matchup of the week, Monday Night Football, Rams-Cardinals. You're sitting Tyler Higbee. Very disappointing as of late. I thought he was someone who could be a really solid mid-tier tight end one early in the season. That has not come true. And then for the Cardinals, starting Zach Ertz as a back-end tight end one play. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. It's kind of a quick one, but for the tight end position, there's just not a lot to talk about. For a lot of these players, they're just clear and obvious sits. That's kind of just how the position shakes out. But thank you guys for stopping by. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.